All right, today we're diving into a big one, James Clear's game-changing book, Atomic Habits. We're going to break down how the absolute smallest changes you can make can lead to, well, some pretty incredible results. So let me just ask you this. Can one tiny little change actually transform your entire life? I know. It sounds like a total exaggeration. But what if a change so small you barely notice it, done day after day, could completely rewrite your future? That's the big idea we're digging into. Okay, let's start with the math because this part is it's wild. If you get just 1% better at something every single day, at the end of the year, you're not just 365% better, you're almost 37 times better. That's compounding in action, and it is incredibly powerful. And just so you know, this powerful idea, and really everything else we're going to cover in this explainer, comes straight from the source, James Clear's massively popular and super practical book. So this whole 1% rule thing, where did it even come from? Well, for James Clear, this wasn't some abstract theory he just dreamed up. Nope. It was something he discovered because of a life-changing, honest-to-God disaster. Picture this. Last day of his sophomore year in high school. A stray baseball bat swings around and hits him square in the face. I mean, the injury was so bad he had to be put in a medically induced coma. When he finally came to, things were scary. As he put it, he was at absolute rock bottom. Now, his recovery, it wasn't some overnight miracle. It was a slow, painful grind. When he got to college, he started with the smallest possible things. Just keeping his room tidy, making sure he got to bed on time, lifting weights a couple times a week. You know, stuff that feels like nothing in the moment. But over time, they compounded. And 6 years after that accident, he was named the top male athlete at his entire university. You know, the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful basketball teams ever, they have this quote hanging in their locker room. It's the perfect way to think about this. Success is almost never about that one final dramatic moment. It's about all the little taps, all the tiny efforts that came before it. Here is an awesome way to visualize it. Imagine a plane flying from Los Angeles to New York City. If the pilot adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, a change you wouldn't even feel, they won't land in New York. They'll land in Washington, D.C. A tiny, almost invisible change at the start leads you to a completely different place. And your daily habits, they are those tiny adjustments. Okay, so we get it. Small habits are a big deal. But, and this is crucial, Clear argues that to really make progress, most of us are focused on the completely wrong thing. It's not about the goals you set, it's about the systems you build. I mean, think about it. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals, right? Every athlete in the Olympics wants to win the gold medal. Every team wants the championship. The goal isn't what separates them. It's their systems. Goals are about the result you want. Systems are about the process that'll actually get you there. And this is just a huge mental shift. When you focus on the system, you get to feel good about the process. You don't have to wait until you hit some big, far-off goal to be happy. You get to feel successful every single time you just show up and run your system. Right. So this all sounds great in theory. But the big question is, how do we actually do it? Well, the good news is Clear gives us a super simple, really practical toolkit for basically engineering our own habits. It all boils down to what he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. If you want to build a good habit, you need to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And if you want to break a bad one, you just flip it. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Simple as that. So let's look at how to make a habit attractive. There's this great little hack called temptation bundling. You just link something you want to do with something you need to do. The book has this amazing example of an engineering student who literally hooked up his stationary bike to his TV and coded it so that Netflix would only play if he was pedaling at a decent speed. Brilliant, right? Okay, and to make a habit easy, this one is a lifesaver. It's the 2-minute rule. The idea is, whatever new habit you're starting, just shrink it down until it takes less than 2 minutes. So read before bed just becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes get out my yoga mat. The whole point isn't to be perfect, it's just to master the art of showing up. And finally, how do you make a habit satisfying right away? You have to make your progress visible. There's a story in the book about a stockbroker who started every day with 2 jars on his desk. One was full of 120 paper clips. After every single sales call he made, he'd move one paperclip to the empty jar. It's such a simple, visual way to prove to yourself, hey, I'm putting in the work. And that brings us to what might be the deepest, most profound idea in this entire book. It totally reframes why we should even care about habits in the first place. See, at the end of the day, real, lasting behavior change is really identity change. The goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. The focus shifts away from what you want to have and toward who you want to become. And James Clear himself is the perfect example of this. He says, hey, I wasn't born a writer. He became one because he made a simple habit, publishing a new article every Monday and Thursday, week in and week out. His habits were the proof that slowly built his new identity. So every tiny action you take, every little habit, it's like a vote you're casting for the type of person you want to be. So I guess the only question left to ask is, who are you voting to be today?